let's do it at LAN. Let's, you know, have some fun with it. Why not? So, Villa, actually, the second most banned map by SSG. It's actually tied with Consulate, which, if we do go, will be our decider. As for the opponent, though, DarkZero, it's tied for their first most banned map. So did they just try and rewrite the whole script coming into USN? Or I really want to see what else is in store for us here, because if DarkZero plays Villa like they played Coastline, you kind of got to blame it on the bans, just a little bit, just a tiny bit.
It's been very interesting between these two teams, to say the least. It definitely seems like DarkZero is trying to change quite a few things up with these new players being slotted into the roster. As far as the bans are concerned, we get these same exact attacker bans on the last map. Obviously, the Jackal one is pretty straightforward there, but the Nomad one is a bit interesting for Villa. It makes sense, though. This is still a map where we see quite a bit of roaming presence, and the attackers usually need some way to counter that out. So getting rid of Nomad is one way to eliminate that possibility.
All right, well, pretty traditional bans, Jackal, Nomad, mirroring what we saw on Coastline. Those two operators great at dealing with roamers, one for roam clearing, one for roam denial when people try and flank, and that's why we saw Gridlock the last time. But we're going to have a little bit of different bans on the defensive side of things. Instead of having the Valkyrie, we're going to have the Mira removed. Mira, extremely powerful on Villa. There's a lot of setups that you can pull off with her. Not really on the Aviator bar side of things, or Aviator games, excuse me. Just because that soft wall setup, looking into study, not the best thing when you're playing against good teams. They'll just rip the soft walls down, and then you really can't rotate anywhere, and you're probably going to die. So you don't want to do that. But on the other side, Mira worked out extremely well. So SSG going to be in the offense to start things off once again.
Setup should be pretty straightforward here as these sites are concerned. And actually, no, we are going to be downstairs, I just realized as well. So we've been seeing this going to be more and more common over the last few months, with LATAM teams, I think, being the first to be more comfortable going to this site more openly, and then it's kind of spread to the other regions. So we're going to end up down here to start things off.
Kitchen's a pretty strong site. You have to have a lot of presence towards that laundry room area, though. You guys see in your center screen over towards the right where the reinforcement was before we flipped up. But you guys know what I'm talking about. So laundry room is going to be the main area that's attacked to try and get people in through and towards the site, because it's direct entrance. So you walk in, if you can take control of that, get the laundry wall open, then you have pressure all around that dining area. But if you're able to shut it down, then you're probably going to have a pretty good time. Only thing that you have to fight for over that is going to be that vertical pressure. You have to make sure that you can't get the sledge, you can't get the bug, all the regular soft breach operators upstairs to have all of that presence, because this is another one of those sites that you can chop up every single rotation in between the two sites, all through vertical play.
That explains also as well, given the fact that why we see operators like Nomad being banned out, just to isolate that possibility for the attackers slightly more. So we are going to start to see a bit of aggression get thrown in here by SSG. It's all pretty passive for the time being, as they have to figure out exactly what they're doing, because I imagine they go into some of these rounds expecting it to be an upstairs play, not necessarily a downstairs play. So some of their opening play needs to be shifted a bit, and I imagine comms and, well, more importantly, droning becomes a bit of a part of that.
Blue, we both talked about how DarkZero did not hold vertical pressure in the last map. This time around, they're actually doing it. There's 3 people upstairs, only 2 on site, and they have Houghton on Pulse as well. So that's going to be a lot of information for these roamers, and it's going to make it seem like every single time that SSG takes a gunfight, somebody has a lock on them because of that. They don't know that the man's downstairs. The logic bomb does not affect the cardiac sensor, so he just gets to read out all of them and possibly get a nitro cell. As he goes to blow, it doesn't do any damage at all, sadly, but an A for effort.
So nothing going to be marked just yet by our defensive squad as they try to pick off some of this upstairs pressure. Time's going to continue to tick down regardless here. Down to 1 minute and 20 seconds left for Spacestation to try and make something happen here. At the moment, it's all been falling flat. Not been able to pick up much, and even worse now, Sky is getting aggressive towards one of the outer windows. He's able to find Canadian, taking him down and giving DarkZero the opening advantage at just 1 minute as the first kill.
Yes, guys, with a very nice rotation over to Art Studio to get that shot outside. And that's the one thing about Villa. There's so many windows, so many doors that you have to be aware of. And the one time you don't look is the one time that somebody's standing there waiting to put a bullet in your head. SSG is going to fall to that, specifically Canadian. That's the only hard breacher as well. So this is going to have to be a lot of soft destruction and a lot of picks early on in order to establish some sort of presence. I think Nate's going to be the first one to peek. I believe a frag grenade pouring in from Bosco. No, it's going to be smokes instead as the toxic bait goes off as well. Bosco taking any damage? No, he's not. So he's going to be able to plant in behind the smoke grenade. Re-ups the smoke. Each one of those lasts for 10 seconds, but he's getting red out from hot and cold. Somebody's going to have to do something about this. Otherwise, his diffuser's going down. It will be successful, and he will get out, actually. Not for the sake of Rampy dying upstairs, but here's the issue now. Thinking Nade rotates over to the bottom of red. They have to make sure that no one can rotate out. It's a 2v5. Bosco quickly shut down. It's a 1v5 post plant now. Thinking Nade has to try and find something. Cardiac sensor in hand. Can he take them both down? What a shot from Mince after he gets up off the diffuser. And it's going to remain 4 alive. Well, granted, 1 alive if you really look at the health. Everyone else really on their last limb.
To be fair, impressive that they get the defuse down in the first place, given those smoke grenades being chucked all over the place. It's a miracle that that second one doesn't end up imploding directly on top of them and doing some massive damage. So we are going to end up seeing quite a bit of success being found here by DarkZero on the opening round downstairs in the kitchen. So now they'll shift to the other 2 upstairs sites. More than likely that 4th site, living room, will be avoided entirely. So they'll go to Aviator and Games as their second run-up.
Well, DarkZero bring the Legion this time around, and so far on Villa, it seems like they got a lock on how they want to try and play things out a little bit more aggro, and that's something that we expected. I mean, specifically, I expected with Skies. I thought when Skies came over to DarkZero, especially with Eclipse, that we'd see a lot more freeballing, a lot more aggressive plays, you know, those things that surprise you. We saw that from Skies in the last round where he rotated all the way over to Art Studio. No one even had any info on him, gets a free pick, and really sets up DarkZero for success in round 1. But now, it's Spacestation to fire back, as they will be on a more traditional site, Aviator Games, which is a site that either make or break you on this map.
So let's see if DarkZero will be able to make themselves make a bit of a lead for themselves as well here, or if it's going to be an immediate strike back. The play and the tail of the tape here for the attackers on SSG is going to be a bit more straightforward this time too, depending on the route that they want to take. I'm sure that, again, the first minute or so is going to see minimal action inside of the building and primarily just drone work being done. As SSG is going to have to decide, do they push towards the study direction with maybe a little bit of pressure coming in from main stairs in the 90 hallway, or do they commit more heavily to the backside over towards the other site here upstairs?
DarkZero going to be on a horizontal hold, and what that means is they're going to hold one entire floor, and they're going to hold that top floor. You guys can see them dedicating utility over to statuary with reinforcements, having Eclipse play near the top of red stairs because Legion gets goo mines over time, so he can continue to allocate those places if they don't rotate there quickly enough. As well as mixing that in with an Ella and a Clash, they have so much denial right now, off-site as opposed to having the smoke there as well. So overall, DarkZero's trying to slow people down, and sadly, that's not going to be the start that they wanted.
So, about a minute gone by, and once again, as you said, DarkZero losing their Jaeger within the opening few seconds. Skies trying to get aggressive once again. Found success with it in the first round, but this time won't be the case, so he falters early. Not only that, but as you can see here, a lot of room being given to the attacking squad now to start moving in over here towards the statuary side. Just on top of those astronomy steps, where they're going to put the Claymore down, hopefully prevent anyone from running back against them later on here. Fultz is now going to move forward. He actually does end up running into an Ella mine there real quick, but as far as I can tell, no other enemy presence is nearby, so we should be safe after a few seconds.
If you're going to have to walk into one, you might as well have Zofia do it. She does have that sister rivalry thing, and for the people that are at home and are wondering, Stokes, what the hell are you talking about? Sister rivalry in this game is between Ella and Zofia, because if you didn't know, they're both Polish, and they're both sisters. And they have a sister rivalry perk that makes it to where their concussions do less effect to each other. And you also get more points for killing your sister, so that's a thing as well, in case you were wondering, because you know they had to throw a +10 in there for shooting your sister in the head. Why not?
So we've got Fultz finally committing towards the 90 angle a bit more here. However, the problem is going to be, as soon as he peeks around the corner, he's going to realize this is not as easy of an angle and easy of a fight to take as he might have been expecting. However, seems he might have already run into that actually, as he's found that pick against Hyper. It's a good trade too. Gives them the man advantage back from the player that they had just lost a few seconds ago. Canadian now ready to move in, but there is a clash. They used this in the last map as well, and they're going to bring it in once again on one of the more difficult sites. One of the more commonly attacker ones. So 45 seconds remaining. Here comes the execute. It's coming in soon here from Space Station. They have no time left.
Spacestation Gaming does have control of 90 as well. DarkZero shifted their way over to Study to try and hold that down, kind of shift the backbone of the site. But the issue is now, though, with that 90 pressure, they can't rotate towards the west of that hallway. Otherwise, they're going to get shot up. One gets down. It's going to be Eclipse taking down Canadian. That's Diffuser as well. That's a huge pick. Volt's rotating in, takes down one. Can he take down the second? He can. Oh, it's a triple for Volt's on the round. It's down to Hot and Cold. M590 in hand, sees one. He misses the shots, and Volt's with a quad on the round. I'm telling you, man, this kid has got some skill. It is ridiculous.
It's another crazy late round rebound that comes in once again as well from SSG. The clash play looking like it was going to be a solid hold from DarkZero, and something that Spacestation honestly might have missed in the early round that would have cost them greatly. But once again, a last second turnaround here puts it back under their control, and Kaz is tied at 1-1.
And I just want to put Fultz on a pedestal once again for just a second, because that was truly a one-man army round for him. Granted, he did get information from his teammates. You guys saw the calls for him moving up through 90, getting the kill into the clash, opening up the main stairs, what have you. But he still had to do that properly. And the way that he played up against that smoke as well, you know, making some distance in between him and the man with the shotgun, very intelligent play from Fultz overall. And I just want to really highlight that gunfight with Hyper from that range, baiting him with the utility, and right when he knows Hyper's going to pre-fire the shield, gets the kill. Just overall, fantastic play from Fultz, and he's at the top of the leaderboard right now. Now you guys can definitely tell why they shifted him over to that Ashe/Zofia play.
He's going to be on a solid 2 KPR right now. To be fair, early days in the game with only 2 rounds actually being finished, but impressive nonetheless, especially if he can keep that going further and further into the game. Setup is going to be, once again, pretty much the same for DarkZero this time around.
10 seconds to
the operators brought to the table are essentially going to be similar, are going to be relatively similar as well here. Still have the issues that are going to pop up from the clash and trying to push into Aviator games on top of things such as goo mines, Ella grenades, or Ella mines, along with those smoke grenades too.
Gershmots.
Yeah, the Gershmots.
The Gershmots.
We do not have an IQ to deal with that either, so.
Yeah, the crappy thing about that, though, is when you're IQ, you kind of just get to stare at it. You're like, okay, well, this thing's here. I either walk into it and get shot, or we try and twitch drone it or something along those lines. Because 90% of the time, they're on a hard wall. So you really can't just, like, shoot it through. It's, crap. Can't really deal with it unless I go underneath.
Not going to work too well.
Yeah, not going to work out too well. Hopefully Bosco can stay alive a little bit longer this time to use both of those logic bombs. He's been having an impressive showing so far. We actually saw him with a couple of 2Ks in the last map with that C75 auto, which is something pretty difficult to do because it's extremely hard to track people with that iron sight.
He's going to be looking for entry capability, but yeah, nothing being found here.
Oh no! The EMP actually eats one of the toxic bays from Houghton as he tosses another one. They're going for a main stairs hold here, but it's going to be all on the back of the man playing main stairs here, which is going to be Hyper. It's the Ella. I'm going to assume he's waiting for the Gershmont to go off, which is why Rampy's coming up close to get rid of the first one. Concussions now pour in, but quite a bit of damage will be done to Bolt as he risks it all to try and take control of main stairs. Overall, though, this hold for DarkZero is working out, and it's going to be Houghton through the floor. That's an angle you don't see too often that you can make by the bar. Hyper to tack on to Bosco, and they're shutting down this Study take. Hyper's actually been down on the main stairs, though, as the first set of X-Kairos will go off.
They are going to be able to kind of, with brute force, really, just take control of Study. 3 players pushing at once. It does push the clash back. They've also, importantly, got another player down at the bottom of main stairs. That's going to be Hyper being eliminated. They brought it down to a 3v4. One final wall going to be popped open, I believe, here by the Hibana. 2 more, excuse me. See 1 eliminated leading into games, 1 eliminated leading into aviation to give them as much POV to play off of as possible here. Both go off without a hitch. That's going to give them the angles they need to play into. A minute remaining as well. Spacestation, as we have often seen throughout this series, are no slouches with using the full breadth of that timer and running it all the way down, if not exactly on 0, to try and close out the round there. They're doing that once again. Drone presence working its way in. They're now taking up pretty good positions to make this execute happen. No one is facing them, though. No one from DZ taking these fights. Thinking they're going to be pushed back. Canadian has better luck, though. He finds an opener. Oh, nicely done with the clash play. Uses it to get hot and cold up close and personal against Thinking Nate to take him out. Everything falls to Fultz and Canadian to pick up the win here. They try to make a push from the clash, but instead, Hot and Cold and Eclipse both pick up corresponding kills, and DarkZero shut it down yet again.
That 90 haul is so very important. If you guys saw it at the top of your screen when we were in the third-person view, you saw Skies rotating for that to try and shut down the angles towards the long end of the hallway. He ended up getting fragged out by Canadian, which obviously made them try and put a diffuser down, but it got immediately retaken once they got that kill towards main stairs because you could shut down all of the rotates from that area. It's the entire backbone of aviation in games is that 90 hallway. Once you have control of that, you can really do anything, and it's very easy to shut down an offensive unit that way. DarkZero playing it to a T, even though it did get scary there for a couple of seconds.
Spacestation coming very close again, like I've been mentioning, that very analytical style of play nearly allows them to pick up a win, but DarkZero with a stronger hold this time. Finally able to get the better of Spacestation on one of those, and most importantly, keep the lead going for this defensive side at 2-1. It's been 2 rounds, so they're actually not even going to have to go to Statuary. They're going to skip that for the time being and head back down into the kitchen. Try this site once again.
This kitchen setup is very creative. I like what they're doing. I like the way that they're dedicating utility upstairs. It's something that I always harp on, as you know, that when you have a roam game, you got to dedicate utility to it. Otherwise, you're just putting people dead in the water, and they're going to get shot through some sort of soft destruction. This is Pro League. You're playing against players that are good at the game. They're going to get information on you. You're going to die from an angle that you don't even know exists. So dedicating utility to your roam game helps out in that aspect, making sure that you guys isolate where you're playing, whether it be through soft walls, through soft barricades, castle barricades, reinforcement, barbed wire, what have you. That can all help to make it to where your roam game is successful as opposed to just being dispatched very quickly.
We're going to start to see SSG players take up positions to start gaining a little bit of inner map control here. Still primarily focused on droning this early on in the round, though, as we have seen from the past ones too. We're going to be able to see, again, the presence from DZ is pretty much non-existent on this half of the map. It's not until they get over towards those statuary rooms that things are going to get a little bit more crowded. A few more blue players are going to show up here from DarkZero's side to stop the push. Nearly 2 minutes here now, and things have remained relatively the same, with Spacestation seemingly starting to get into position for more of a direct push, going right into the site from the outside, instead of trying to mess around with an interplay.
All right, well, Fultz and the rest of the SSG on roam clear now, as everything has been soft barricaded, as you can see. And I know that it honestly does look like, okay, yeah, I'm playing a copper game, like everything's barricaded, right? But the beauty of the barricades, especially like from regular play in game, is it's a sound cue. They have to try and punch it in order to make a sound, and now you know where they are. It's something that I don't see utilized that often from a lot of teams unless they're near the top echelon of Siege. Start using those soft barricades. They're actually extremely useful in a lot of instances, especially on roam game, when they have to risk it all to try and punch the door. You're like, okay, I now know you're at Deer, or I now know you're somewhere else. Nitro Cell sails off. Hot and Cold cannot get that off the ceiling, but he can definitely get shot through it. Nitro Cell goes off to no avail. A little bit of damage to Bosco, but that seems to be from outside.
Minute remaining, time going to start to get lower here. Fultz trying to give his team purview, and they do actually catch Hot and Cold. That's the pulse going down when they tried to knock out earlier. Spacestation with a 5v4 advantage. Now it's time to move, as they're sub 1 minute here now. They've just barely started to put players into the building. Bosco going to wait and see if anyone tries to peek from his window hop in here. Fultz, in the meantime, moving out potentially to join him. A re-enter from a different angle. There's that peek that Bosco was looking for. Not going to be able to find the kill on it, though. Just brings Mint down to under 25 HP.
Well, Skies takes down Fultz, and that's a big pick. The man's been on fire so far throughout Villa. Skies going long again, but it gets red, telestrated by Bosco, and a quick kill. And all of a sudden, DarkZero's on their heels. Utility now being sent into the site to try and get a diffuser down. Diffuser's going to be in Canadian's hands, as it traditionally is for SSG. Canadian with a quick dash over towards the bomb chassis, the safest area you can possibly be. Oh no, one frag, but can they find Canadian? Hyper to die as he gets traded out. Oh no. SSG with a quick run through.
Back into the driver's seat with a win here on Kitchen. Looked like we were starting to see the gameplay change up a little bit with DarkZero's success being found.
That was a very weird kill cam there. Yeah, that was actually DarkZero's win, by the way. Apologies for that. I got confused because the kill cam, even though it was on the DarkZero player, said Canadian SSG because they traded.
Oh yeah, that is weird.
That was very weird.
See, I thought the same thing, actually.
Yeah.
All right, well, just ignore us for
this doggone...
And I mean, again,
spectating system.
credit to DZ here. They're gonna play pretty much the full breadth of these sites. Statuary, one that is played by pretty much universally every team in this game, at the moment has yet to be picked up, and they're gonna go to living room now. So DZ, some interesting decisions being made today.
Yeah, living room is usually the site that you never see. It's one that I can tell you I've only casted about twice, honestly, like ever. And the main one that it was in was LATAM. I believe it was Liquid on one of the last play days that we ended up commentating because Parker was sick. So with that being said, we're going to have DarkZero playing it. This will be the first time I've seen them play this in recent history, and it seems that they're bringing, relatively speaking, the same operator lineup, all except for the Bandit, which Hyper will be playing. So I'm actually very interested to see where they're going to put these Bandit batteries. What is of the most importance to them on this site? Hyper's rotated upstairs, and he's actually barricading games right now, as well as making a couple punch holes, Swiss cheesing the wall, making it to where, well, if you do peek the room, you have about 75 choices.
Objective is to locate a bomb and defuse.
This will be an interesting task for specifically Spacestation to figure out, but I am curious to see the success or failure of DarkZero's defense here too.
Yeah, there's a lot of angles being made.
A lot, yeah.
So it seems like they're setting up a bunker setup upstairs to try and hold down angles to help with sight. So somebody's going to be playing inside of Gun Vault so that if somebody does rotate through like the landing area inside of living room, I was wanting to say laundry there, but living room, then oh my gosh, the amount of drones.
It's a whole army.
Quick read through, he's actually shooting fulls, flicks over, but does not find anything on to mint. But if somebody does get found in living room, obviously they're going to die to the holes upstairs. They have forgotten one wall, or didn't think that wall was the most important. Smoke grenades now going down from Bosco, but it seems like they might be falling into DarkZero's trap now as they begin to rotate up main stairs.
They do seem to have some idea about what is set up here. Unfortunately, they may not have an idea as to just how much presence is actually here. Thinking Nate seems to have been holding this angle for at least a few seconds now, waiting for his opponents to get into position. And in the meantime, we're going to see everything being committed to allow them to try and push in upstairs into Aviation and Games.
Oh.
Thinking Nate gets the first kill. A good amount of damage being traded out, bringing him just over half, but not enough to confirm the trade. That is going to be Rampy. That actually finds the next pickup against Hyper, as his upstairs hold is being cleared. Not really any issue at the moment from Spacestation.
SSG is doing such a damn good job of holding down their flanks, man. Every single time that they set up a room, there's always somebody waiting for someone to rotate in behind. And that's going to be Rampy this time. Very pivotal area to play. Main stairs holding down the long hallway of 90. Catches Hyper on rotation, and that's a big deal. Now you have all of the top presence as well as all of the holes that are already made for you. You know, so with that control now, Spacestation Gaming, or excuse me, DarkZero, has to worry about all of those areas that they made those vertical holes through, because obviously you can get shot through them.
Flash not necessarily in the greatest position to try and actually stop this execute from happening either at the moment. It's going to become a problem in the next few seconds here. First attempt to pop, they're actually going to plant early while that's still blowing up. This should work out pretty well. We'll see an attempt to interrupt it, and even better, Bosco caught the only one that spotted it. So, clean plant, Hot and Cold also killed in the process, down to 2. Great hold from Skies. He's been probably the most consistent player in just pure 1v1 gun duels this game. Another one found from Skies, in fact, as he's going to be able to bring the numbers down to a 2v3. We need to see this Clash get into the fight too, and that is not an easy thing to ask for. Gumine on the rotate, but unfortunately dies at the peak. The Clash looking for the trade, but Bosco almost accidentally getting that second kill with the way the recoil works out, and Spacestation pick up yet another round.
It's going to be a triple for Bosco on the round once again. And as you guys can see, SSG has gotten so good at these quick executes towards site to get a diffuser down. They show presence upstairs, they get both of the kills, and they go, okay, no one's up here to try and stop us anymore. This wall's soft. Let's just blow some X-Kairos on the other side, a little bit of distraction. Bosco, hold down the door, you still have utility. Burn Vault, make it to where they can't rotate through and hold the angle. And it works out for them because there is not a single bit of utility on the defense to try and stop them. No Evil Eyes, no nothing. And DarkZero really just left home alone, to be completely honest. They need to try and get some more denial in there. I like how they tried to slow things down with that upstairs hold, but once things got set up for Study, it just did a little bit of over peeking. We saw the Jaeger swing the door into Study, and Eclipse get immediately melted. Hyper tries to pick up the pieces, but gets immediately fragged out from main stairs. So it just seems like it's really not in the cards for DarkZero right now on these extended holds.
We need to start seeing that change, though. We're coming to the final moment of their defensive half. Things are going to switch over to attack after this round. Well, we could be looking at another 4-2. If SSG is able to hold their attack and pick up number 4 here before the end of it, that'll be very, very dangerous on Villa with them switching over to defense. It's going to be quite a bit that they'll have to work with, and we could just be looking at the cleanup like we saw on Coastline as well. And something similar to that just happened.
Attackers must locate and defuse the
Well,
bomb.
jumping into round 6 now is DarkZero. Could possibly split 3-3 once again, as we saw the last game on Coastline until Spacestation just completely took over and didn't seem like DarkZero had a will or a way in order to fight back. SSG moving Rampy on over to Twitch, and this is something that we've seen him on quite often. We usually see him on the Buck as well, but no Buck going to be picked up for SSG in this round. So going to have Fultz on the Zofia, who's been proving quite prominent so far throughout this series. Canadian still on the Habana as well. So only one hard destructor as they begin their clear from Master across. Last time we saw quite a bit of utility dedicated across from DarkZero, and that long hold actually worked out for them as opposed to the last two that really have not. Fultz already inside a bathroom. More information game pouring in for Spacestation now.
Both teams at the moment just trying to play for intel more than anything else, specifically Spacestation. Fultz is going to be lining up Claymores again to watch out, prevent that rotate from coming back up through Astro Stairs. The rest of the team a little bit split up from Fultz right now, kind of off on his own here. He's going to be positioned very well as well. So if anybody goes down, they can watch that and get early intel on that rotate should the Claymore be dealt with.
Yeah, very intelligent drone. I saw that for the first time. I believe it wasn't at Raleigh. I believe it was in Japan by Laxing, actually. I saw him use that camera. Very smart camera setup. Very difficult to see unless obviously you're playing with Bloom on, which makes cameras a little bit easier to see because it makes that light shiny instead. Also, make sure if you guys do have any of our amazing esports charms on your gun that you guys have Bloom on in your graphic settings, because it gives them that beautiful shine like Canadian has on his gun with his SSG charm. So there you go. I fixed your setting for you in mid-cast.
Canadian ready to move in on the site here now as he's going to start lining up some of those X-Kairos charges for the team to move in. First one might have gotten dealt with by a trick, so we'll see if these next two are going to be any more successful or if they will also be stopped. We hear at least one explosion going out there, so it is going to give him some room to work with, but a kill is found by Eclipse here, knocking out Canadian as he attempts to actually commit himself onto the inside of Study.
Fultz already having 90 control, could take down Eclipse, but it's going to be Bosco to deal with him down to the 4v4. Rampy looking for any goon mines on the ground, but it's going to be Thinking Nade to continue to tack on. He's going for the shot. He lights him up, and no, actually none of the bullets making any contact with Hot and Cold. Fultz rotates in now, takes down Hot and down to the 4v2. Skies and Mint, the only two remain. Skies finally firing back. Fultz gets traded out immediately. Mint 1 versus 2. Diffuser now going down with smokes from Bosco's tactical crossbow. Mint moves up. Smoke is dissipated. He takes down one. Can he get the second flick? No, he can't. SSG with an immediate trade, and these guys are just playing so coordinated right now. I don't know if DarkZero can even stop it.
So close, however, for DarkZero. An attempt being made, and you can see their Fultz actually nearly shutting down those last two players. It didn't catch the fact that both of them were literally right next to each other. So he goes down, and we nearly see that clutch come in from DarkZero's final player. We do end up with that 4-2, however, as a result of the win from SSG in that final round. And now they have a massive lead going on to their defensive side of Villa. Especially if things start out well with a win here on Aviation, they could be looking at a very clean sweep, right up to 7 and a 2-0 on the series.
On Coastline, we thought it was going to be a lot closer, especially going into the split, but Villa is defensive-sided. And right now, the defense has 2 more rounds than the offense does. That is not a good look. This is one of the most complicated maps inside of the map pool. You can set it up so many different ways and handle things so many different ways, as we saw DarkZero try to do. They went to both of the sites that we don't see traditionally played, Kitchen as well as Living Room. And Kitchen worked out very well. Living Room, not so much. It seemed that SSG knew exactly what to do once they saw that wall was soft. And for the people that, you know, tried to sit there and set that up, you might want to go back and reassociate where you want to put some of those reinforcements, or think back through where you want to put a couple of those, because it seems like that wall is definitely a detriment to that setup.
Yeah, from a strategical perspective, SSG has absolutely been winning this series by a pretty big margin here. You have to respect DZ for some of the things that they've been trying, but that's the key thing. They've been trying a lot, just a lot of it hasn't been working. They're going to have to go back to the drawing board on some of this, or look into why specifically the things they were trying to do were failing into this game.
Reloading!
Before we get too deep into this, can we see the scoreboard real quick? I'd really appreciate that if we could. Thank you, sir. So at the split, we actually have Fultz with 8 kills walking into that. Overall, a great showing from SSG, and you got to tip a little bit of the cap to Canadian on this one. I mean, the guy's been playing pretty lights out, getting diffusers down, playing hard destruction. He's playing it all. Again, he's on Jaeger right now. He's always been that flex guy. No matter what, he's going to play the thing that he thinks is the most important to the round to try and bring his team to victory. And it seems that, well, Canadian might be back, folks.
At least by this match. We still have to wait and see how tomorrow and Sunday go as well.
Can we go on a trip in our favorite rocket ship, zooming through the sky?
Not there yet, hold on.
To beat all the nice guys. See, I could do this all day, man.
Can't wait for someone else to sing that one.
Oh no. I'm not going to sing again. They hated when I did that early. Oh, man. All right, well, DarkZero, same song, same dance that we saw from SSG, focusing their sights onto 90 control, and the exact same operator as well. It's going to be Zofia. She's got the M7, which is an AK variant with an ACOG. That long hallway makes those gunfights a little bit easier.
Down to about half the time remaining in the round here for DarkZero, and it's been incredibly quiet so far. Not a single tick of damage taken by any member of either team at the moment. Primarily just drone work being picked up. Houghton is in position on top of the red stairs to try and make a play, and this is coming off of the control that Zofia had a few seconds before as well. Hyper going down 90. So lots of work with moving in from the top of red stairs and at least the top half of 90. That's a nice shot from Eclipse.
That was a one-tap as well.
As he's able to find Thinking Nade and knocking out the Maestro. We won't have those evil eyes be able to be used later on in the round. Thankfully, that's not a massive loss, assuming that the cameras are already set up appropriately. Pretty much already getting their maximum usage out of that one.
Seems that SSG has fallen into the exact same trap that DarkZero did here, where they've started to use Study more as the backbone instead of 90, but as they showed you last time, 90 has a little bit more importance over the site and how things tend to go down. We do have Rampy inside of Study. He's playing the Warden, and that's what Skies is going to have to deal with. But obviously, Skies doesn't have anything that's going to affect Rampy, all except for Logic Bombs, which will be coming in for the Dokkaebi of Eclipse. A quick hop in, and oh, the timing for Rampy. He couldn't hear it because of that Logic Bomb. Toxic Babe's now pour in, but Houghton's on the other end as Bosco actually ends up trading it out. Canadian as well, and Fultz to tack on. You thought it was a DarkZero round, but no, you'd be mistaken. Skies finally fights fire with fire, knocking down Fultz. It's a 2 versus 2. Logic Bomb still going off, but finally the sound will deafen. Bosco and Canadian as he rotates back in, a quick prone, and it's going to be Skies. Oh no, last seconds, and that's going to be all she wrote. Bosco with a quick teabag. Let the man know. Space Station, it's all domination from here.
That's Bosco's twin, Bosco, coming into the game for just a second there to show off a bit. He's going to roll in there, pick up some very nice frags, and shut down the round for SSG. Yet another one into their court, a 3-round lead now into their favor. As they come into the defensive side with a barnstorming first round. They're just going to carry that right over to Trophy. It's traditional play. You know, it's not the more creative stuff we've been seeing from DarkZero and trying to mess around with the sights a bit more, but here's the key thing right now. What Space Station's doing, it's working.
Absolutely, absolutely. Guys, we're going to get these chants down over the weekend, all right? I'm just letting you guys know in the crowd. We're going to get them down, okay? I promise you. So, all right, DarkZero 2-5 right now. This is the time to come back. A couple of bleak faces as Mint's trying to roll through things with the team. Almost a very successful round, but as you said, Boss Goat decided to play instead of Bosco, and well, we all saw how that went down. Gun Vault happened to be a lot of graves for a lot of people. SSG still on defense, and we're going to have Bosco over on the Jaeger this time around rather than the smoke. Last time pretty successful with the shotgun SMG-11 combo, but the 416C will do just fine for this round, and specifically the 416C, the most damaging gun on the defense per body shot, if you guys didn't know. That's why all those Ash Jaeger mains exist. It's because once you shoot somebody, 2 to 3 times, they're probably going to die.
5 seconds left before insertion.
Truck phase is going to finish up here in just a second. We'll once again have the players from DarkZero coming out onto the board. There's been so much promise, especially in early and mid-round situations here, but closing out has been such a problem for DZ. We've got a fact coming in. SSG and DZ are actually tied with each other on 8 opening kills. Again, just going back to the theory I was talking about before, but the winner has only been able to convert 65% of the time.
It's all about conversion rates. It's all about the statistics. That's how it goes. That's how it goes. Space Station, though, slow going so far. least on their defensive side. Offensive unit moving extremely slow. Almost a snail's pace at this point. Lots of droning, but it's actually going to pay off as they'll find Pulse downstairs. That's going to be Canadian. We talked a lot about him today, and this is one of his hallmark operators that we see him play quite often. The reasoning for that is because Canadian likes that cardiac sensor utility with that nitro cell combo. The cardiac sensor, especially for an IGL, you can coordinate an entire team around this one operator because he can get all of that information through the flooring with relatively no danger to himself. So he's able to read out literally everyone outside unless he tries to travel up this staircase here where Skies is waiting. But you can read almost everybody outside from the downstairs area with that cardiac sensor. Remember off the top of my head, I believe it's about 12 meters. It's 12 to 15 meters if I can remember properly. But Skies is going to read him out downstairs, knows that Canadian is still playing. But he can't shoot it from the floor, obviously, since it is brick.
Half the round long gone here now, and DarkZero starting to gain some control on the inside of Master. Bit messy on the Hibana breaches. I believe part of the X-Kairos were taken out there. As you can see, that top level is actually not going to explode on the left side, but it still gives them, I think, just enough room to do what they need to do with that.
Well, Spacestation's been wasting a lot of DarkZero's time so far. They really only have the mid-floor taken down, some X-Kairos to use as well to make sure that he can't rotate up the pantry staircase. Thinking Nate avoiding a stun grenade that pours in his way. Logic Bomb finally comes in from Eclipse, but they have to get some presence on site. They need to move quickly. Another stun grenade comes in now as Mint's taking up the angle. He takes down one off of a pre-fire after Thinking Nate walks in the way. Could have just sat still, but was afraid that I believe, frag grenade was going to kill him. Crawl in from hot and cold now as the diffuser's more than likely about to go down. They've isolated out both of the pathways in between the sites. It's time for Canadian to make some magic happen, but no, it's going to be Bosco as he freely rotates in. Rampy kills him with a nitro cell. Volts, though, to trade it out. Skies and Eclipse to tack on, and it's going to be DarkZero all the way unless Canadian has something to say about it. The diffuser's down inside of Statuary. They're both scared to go. Somebody's going to have to try and man this, though, so it's going to be knocked down to the 1 versus 1. It's the long angle. They know where he is. Nitro cell pours in. Is it going to be on time? No, he doesn't get the angle, and he's going to have to try and team fight 2 now. Both guns up. Canadian up in hand. His gun, not the best when it comes to gunfighting, though. Some people think that the Pulse is better with it, but no, not this time around. Skies on the long angle with the ACOG and the LMG will finally win it out for DarkZero.
A nice attempt from Canadian, but far too many obstacles in his way, and DarkZero had his number, it seemed, the entire time, as they did predict most of his movements, stopping him from pulling off the success that he was looking to get out of that round. So, finally, another one picked up from DarkZero after a long string of wins from Spacestation. Maybe DarkZero can still get back into this game, but Spacestation, of course, are not going to take that loss lightly. They will look for the immediate response, as they, too, have a little bit of flair to throw out here onto the downstairs sites. They're going to head into Kitchen for this next round.
Yeah, a little bit of a fun fact for you as well, guys. If you're not too attuned to the Rainbow Six Siege scene, first of all, welcome. Second of all, Bosco actually missed his graduation for this event, if you didn't know.
That's right, I remember that.
He missed his graduation, missed walking across the stage in order to come here and try and be Team USA. Boss Goat is what that man is, and that takes a lot, especially after that dedication to college and everything else, to have to go through all of that education, as well as keeping up with streaming and playing. I mean, that's a lot on one man's plate, so a tip of the cap to him for sure.
Man's committed. So SSG looking to get back into things here now with another win downstairs. What's up?
I got 24 hours on the clock. I might as well use them all, you know?
Seconds remaining.
We're going to see how well things go for DZ. Finally picking up some steam on that last round there. The late round playing out into their favor, which, again, that's been the key thing for DZ here. Early and mid-round, they've been fighting, in my opinion, pretty evenly with SSG. But it's been in pretty much every single round here. Late round is what decides it. Always that plant attempt, the hold against the execute, or the retake.
Well, DarkZero, once again, on the offense. Relatively the same setup that we saw from SSG, honestly, with operator lineup and what have you. Both of these teams really liking the Dokkaebi. And Dokkaebi is an operator that is not utilized too often. You really only see her when the Jackal's gone, to be completely honest. But she's gotten a lot of utility recently. She used to only have smoke grenades and a Claymore, or it was breaching charges. I can't remember. I believe it was the Claymore, but nevertheless, now she has smoke grenades and frag grenades, and that's a big deal because she already has a pretty good secondary, the C75, excuse me, that we see aces quite often pop off with. But once you get that gun down, even though the iron sight's kind of trash, still a very, very good gun, as well as mix that with an EBR and some logic bombs. All of a sudden, you have a concoction that's extremely dangerous. Hot and Cold takes down Thinking Nate upstairs, and DarkZero finally lead the pack in a round.
Good entry, and also deals, importantly, with a player on the other side of this wall, too. If that had been a bandit, it would have removed the ability to trick. Thankfully, this time, they're not going to have to worry too much about that possibility. Walls should be open without too much of an issue here following that kill. It's, of course, a bit dangerous that you have the Hibana get it, but progress is progress.
You gotta do what you gotta do. And sadly, the resets aren't like they used to be. If you guys, again, haven't been following very recently about, well, it's almost been a year at this point, they changed up resets to where when you get down, you only get set to 20 HP instead of 50. It used to be a big thing that people would reset each other through walls and what have you to try and get them more HP once they went down below 50, because that's 2 bullets as opposed to 1. But since it's only 20 now, there's really no point in doing it.
Yep. It's a very niche thing that, like, if someone's like, you know, like 2 football fields away from the site, they'll try it just because they're so safe at that point. But most teams, I think we've seen, just avoid it entirely now because it's a massive waste of time.
It is just a massive waste of time at this point.
For like maybe 1 extra bullet you can take in the fight.
I don't think it's 1 extra bullet. I think every gun does over 20 damage, to be completely honest. So you're just kind of, you know, screwed. And speaking of screwed, Canadian is screwed and tattooed, man. Skies takes him down. Quick rotates from SSG, but Skies again with a double kill. He's been finding so many frags with this IQ. Bolts, rotates upstairs, but gets ripped by Eclipse, trying to take a Goomine out of his foot, but the SMG-12 grants wishes, apparently. Hot and Cold finally gets a diffuser down. Rampy has moved all the way to Switzerland as he's downstairs, has a hatch open above him that he's going to have to be worried about. He sees one, but no, it's going to be a quick shot. I believe that was Skies yet again, and it was a flawless round for DZ. Skies hyping up the crowd. It seems like those Xbox ways are getting back to it.
Sky's getting very hyped, and there's a reason to it right now. Again, even going back to Coastline, where things obviously looked pretty dire for their opponents, or excuse me, where things looked pretty dire for DarkZero. Skies was still doing really well. Skies was still picking up multi-frags and was able to really open up opportunities for his team and save them in plenty of other situations too. So Skies has been really important and is really making his mark to join this roster.
It's bewildering what this man can do on both sides of the coin. I mean, he's a support player on defense. We saw him play Smoke a lot on Coastline. Didn't bag him too many kills and didn't have that much of an impact, but he's definitely had success with Smoke before. Now we're on to the offensive side. He's been playing IQ the whole time, finally switching over to Sledge. I mean, to be completely honest, it's been very impressive what he's been able to accomplish inside of these gunfights. These 1v1s just seem to keep going his way.
And that's it. The 1v1 win rate for him has just been off the charts. The average amount of kills he's getting when he does get kills is usually in the multiples. So Skies has been a pivotal piece of the puzzle, especially when it comes to playmaking for the DarkZero roster in this series.
Was a lot of P's. I'm sorry, I had to throw you off for a second. I haven't done it in a while, so it's gonna be a 4 to 5 though between these two. Space Station still in the lead. They're 1 off of match point here, and the most important thing, if you are a DarkZero fan at home, is you want them to try and rack up as many rounds as possible before that match point hits. Specifically, if they can tie things up or even hit it before and try and win this in regulation, that's going to be the route that you want DarkZero to take. These offensive rounds so far have been highlighted by those kills from Skies. So if the rest of the roster starts to warm up, we might have an equal showing here.
Let's see. Space Station looked all but secure in their ability to be able to take control of this just a few rounds ago, but now I'm not so certain that that is going to be the case anymore.
All right, well, DarkZero so far, their clears have been pretty slow. It's been some very weird instances where we saw Hot and Cold with the Hibana rush into Statuary to take down the Bandit, but it did open up a lot of areas for DarkZero to try and take over. SSG, on the other hand, have been playing pretty passive because DarkZero has been tending to waste a lot of time getting to the actual site. This time around, though, it seems that they are picking up pace. Hyper's going to be on the Zofia. This time around, more than likely going to be focused on 90. Quick punch hole into the astronomy room wall there that sees down into the red hallway, as well as a hatch being opened over inside of study. DarkZero's been doing a pretty damn good job of this information game. They are going to read out Rampy, who's playing the Warden once again. We saw, actually in this last hold, IQ hop the window and get an immediate frag on a Rampy just off of timing. Didn't work out too well for him, but it seems that the main stairs and study area is going to be the mainstays for Space Station in this.
Sky's trying to challenge that main stairs angle, but no success on it right now. Can't really safely get into the position he needs to try and take out the Doc sitting up on top of that. So they're going to try and utility stun him out. 3 out of 4 of the Zofia grenades going to be thrown in against the Doc, but not really much to push him out into the open, unfortunately. Fold still sits in that position. Rampy does as well on the other side. Rampy's going to take some heat here, though. He may actually have to evacuate in just a second unless he wants to really risk his life for the play right here and try to at least get the 1-for-1 before he ends up going down. But he's sticking around. That seems to have been worth it, at least for now, as Canadian gets the opener on Eclipse. Oh, though, trades not only on the Canadian, but then goes forward to find Rampy. Skies, you had to right, gets into this as well, and he's going to be able to find Volt. So just like that, Space Station fall to pieces.
It's all I'm thinking, Nate, and Bosco, can he spread those wings and fly once again like we saw him do last time inside of Gun Vault? 36 seconds remain, not much utility in the hands of the defense, 4 remain on the offense. Do still have Evil Eyes in play, though, as nothing's coming in sight in order to break them. Still need a diffuser down, though, as DarkZero continues to sit and spin on this time. Skies gets taken down. Oh, no. SSG, are they going to push it? They will. Bosco to trade it out. He's knocked it down to the 1 versus 1. DarkZero, and specifically Hyper, to hype up this crowd here in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's Sin City, baby. And Hyper's bringing it home.
DarkZero still in the fight. Seemed like they had given up, but not the case. They find a way to rebound, and they bring it all the way back to 5. Now tied up with Space Station. It's a lot quieter on that side of the stage all of a sudden. So they need to seriously get themselves together here, figure out what's been going wrong. That early round, it seems to have been DZ finding a lot more success with their picks, and most importantly, SSG isn't trading them out like they have in the past. So a timeout is going to be taken. SSG is going to try and figure some of this out with the help of their coach now.
A little bit of help here, but I honestly feel like they are playing a little bit rigid here with their setups. They're not allowing things to kind of mesh. You know, be like water, my friend. One of those things where you kind of have to try and coordinate as to what the offense is doing. The offense have done a very good job, especially in that last round, of countering out everything that SSG wanted to do, specifically the study hold, where we saw hot and cold with some very hot plays, specifically the one downstairs inside of Art, where he knew where the shield was, so he just shot him through the floor because it's soft. It was a very nice play by him to free up some space upstairs for the rest of their team. So, fact up on the board for you guys, Villa is typically favored 60% to the defensive side, but this match has been flipped, with the attackers winning 6 out of 10 rounds. Thank you once again to SSG, CGG, you know, CGG for all of their stats over the weekend, and especially updating those on their Twitter page to show you guys the breakdown of the matchups.
You're almost there, just an extra S.
You know? Yeah, you know.
Spam the key a little too.
I tend to do that, dude. S is what I fat finger.
All right, guys, well, we are on pause, so we should be heading back in game in just a couple of seconds. SSG is going to be making a run for the living room, it would seem. Same as DZ did back in the last half, so this is going to be interesting to see play out, as both teams now have pretty much gone around the entire site rotation, I'm pretty sure. We never saw Statue come out of DarkZero. That's the only thing I can recall them we've missed so far, but pretty sure SSG has tried every site now as of this round.
Well, we're going back downstairs to living room. I want to keep calling it laundry man. It's just, it's messing with me. But no, we are back downstairs, and once again, we'll give you the quick breakdown of this site. It's something that you want to have that vertical pressure on because practically all of the flooring above this site is soft. If you don't have that, then you're probably going to die because you can't rotate in between your sites or really have any movement at all. There's really only going to be a couple of safe havens that you can possibly occupy. So that's going to be the main prerogative for DarkZero, is to gain control of the upstairs, which it seems to be that SSG is going to be holding very, very wide, as we have Canadian all the way across the map popping hatches.
Hyper already going to start to do just a little bit of damage to peek into master bathroom here, see what's going on there. I don't believe he has any opposing presence coming in from SSG's side, and he's going to confirm that in just a second with a bit of drone work here. Again, Astronomy left completely open too. He sees that it's not deconstructed or messed up by the desk there, so he's going to see that as an all clear and start to push through and take control.
Well, drone in tandem with Hyper as he clears the entire upstairs. Hot and cold adding to the drone army. Could possibly be adding to the drone army of the defense as well, since we do have Canadian on A lot of people's favorite operators nowadays, Mozzie. Plenty of utility for that man, and he has these pests that allow you to steal the drones from the offense and use them for yourself to gain information throughout the map. We are going to be running the Mute Mozzie combo. You guys probably heard that earlier from our, mainstay Canadian here, which is actually not going to be Canadian. It's going to be Parker and Tara McKay. That combo in particular does a lot of damage to the information game of the offense, and along with that Mute, it's definitely going to be helping out just a little bit with Eclipse, but Eclipse has taken over all of the upstairs. He's walked in, he's taken down Thinking Nate, he's looking for two. Rampy in behind the bar, trying to refrag his friend here, but they have plenty of presence now. Nitro Cell could pour in and get a couple of kills. What a toss, but it's not going to do too much. Hot and Cold going to take quite a bit of damage from somewhere. I believe it might have been through the wall, but they will drone him out as Rampy is twisting and turning behind the bar, but nobody wants to take a gunfight just yet. A quick shot, it's going to be Eclipse once again with the SMG 12. Haven't seen somebody die at that range with that gun in quite a while.
So DarkZero once again have found footing and not looking like they're going to let it go anytime soon either here. SSG down to their final 3 players. Skies going to move in here and regroup with the rest of his team. Their phone call going out here. Call Canadian and the rest of the squad here. Doesn't look like anyone from DarkZero got any amazingly useful intel off of that phone call. But at the same time, a couple of the players from SSG, it looked like they're just going to let the full timer run out on that call because they don't feel safe enough to take it down themselves.
Yeah, don't want to put your gun away and try and get your phone out. Don't be lazy on the job. Otherwise somebody might peek you and you might end up losing your life. 25 seconds remain as Skies is having a gunfight through the floorboards. Somebody downstairs inside of the art vault. Hyper to take down 1, Hyper to take down 2, and all of a sudden it's up to Canadian. On the rotate, but gets shut down inside of Piano, and Skies letting them know. Oh no, DarkZero starting to warm up. This is exactly what we wanted to see.
Again, attacker's side, it continues to remain the name of the game, large part just because it seems like teams are really indecisive on the sites they want to go to, flipping all the way around. Like I said, we just had the living room play from Spacestation. I doubt they're going to go back to that with the way it just transpired. So they are going to try for what may very well be the final round of this map, Trophy and Statuary. It's now DarkZero for the first time in the lead and on map point.
Impressive showing so far by DarkZero on the offensive side. Pretty sure that everyone at home, including myself, didn't think that this offensive side was going to go that well. They did not have a great defensive showing. If anything, they need to shut it down here because going into the overtime, SSG might have something in store for them. I really feel like it's now or never for DarkZero to win this map. OT just does not feel like it could possibly go their way. SSG shaking a couple of things up. We're going to have Valkyrie picked up by Rampy, so a little bit more information game. But the issue is now, though, that Eclipse exists. Eclipse exists, let me say that properly, with Dokkaebi. And those logic bombs make it to where you can't be on your phone. Not a single one of those ops will be able to access their utility camera-wise when those logic bombs goes off, unless you either answer your phone or wait for the timer to run out. And since there's no echo, there's nobody that can possibly view any of that utility.
On top of that, we still have an IQ in play for the attackers as well. So some of these cameras, especially any ones that are chucked outside, are going to get dealt with relatively quickly by the attacking squad. It's more just going to be those few seconds of intel that you might be able to get for yourself. So the round breakdown here too. It's been very streaky from both teams' sides here. Besides the initial round on the half won by SSG, it's been 4 straight from DarkZero. They've really lit it up on the attacking side.
Have indeed. Overall, really an impressive showing by both of these teams. I think a lot of people thought that there might be a lackluster showing from DarkZero just because the roster is so fresh at the moment. But they're starting to bring things back, especially against SSG. SSG's always had a very, very rough curse that I hate talking about, but they've had a really, really big problem with shutting out games for a very long time. And this isn't just from like the Canadian perspective. It's been from before his time, ever since this roster began. They've always had a ton of talent, but could just never close out the games when it came down to it. But at the most recent showing in OGA Pit, they had a lot of maps where it was just seal the deal and move on with their day. So it seems like they've shaken quite a bit of it, but I don't want to see that come back and bite them.
Down to the 2-minute marker now. DarkZero with a lot of drone presence being cleared out here, specifically over towards areas like the kitchen. So they want to try and make sure, again, that roaming presence is not here. They should have actually been able to find out one player that is in the basement just a couple of seconds ago. I believe it would be Canadian on the pulse, but it could also be another player as well. Hyper, in the meanwhile, moving into Master Bathroom, will go back to droning just for the time being to see what Astronomy is going to be looking like. They know they have the one Evil Eye to deal with on the top right side. That's honestly not much of a concern for them. Mainly that player sitting behind the reinforcement, that'll be an issue. They'll burn out one of the ADSs just with 2 charges being quickly deployed. Mint also trying to watch out here. I'm sure his team still has the capability to swing through and work their way out onto potentially Statuary. That is needed as well, and they can't really push in through Astronomy. They're going to try and attempt right now here. Sky's kind of having to brute force his way past that barbed wire, though. Leads to a shutdown. Thinking Nade gets that. Bosco also being the one to take down Skies. Hot and Cold is now dead too, and I'm not sure if we got a whole lot of hard breach done. So that master bedroom wall can no longer be breached if they hadn't already done that.
Well, I like the idea using the logic bomb to try and mask the sound of that barbed wire, but that barbed wire, extremely loud, completely telegraphed the movement of Skies up the staircase, and he gets immediately shredded, just like his brother Mint. And Folt's going to tack on as well. All of a sudden, it's into a 1v5 for Hyper, and he's not going to have too much to say about it. We're going to overtime, folks. SSG brings it back on a flawless round. Let's make some noise. All right, well, in between these two teams so far, DarkZero has definitely shown a lot of promise on the offensive side moving into this overtime, and that's exactly what they're going to get, Blue. They're going to get the offensive side. We saw them multiple times be able to string rounds together, but the main thing is now, if they can win this offensive round, moving over to the defensive side, what site do they go to? I honestly think that they should go back to Kitchen. That seemed to be the most successful path for them to take. Their statuary defense worked out decently well, but the aviation games definitely did not.
And we never even actually saw their trophy either throughout the course of their traditional.
Oh yes, you are correct about that.
Yeah,
Apologies.
so that's something that I'm assuming they know how to play it. That would be pretty crazy for a team to not have that.
We saved it for overtime. That's what we did.
Yeah, so in theory they could bring that out as well and try to throw off their opponents with it too. They really wanted to try and stretch their logic a bit with the mind game here. But how successful that would be on that site. Either way, Spacestation still gets to take up a defensive mantle at the beginning of OT here, as Stokes was just mentioning. So they get the first round on this one, then we will continuously swap back and forth for 2 more rounds until we have a winner.
Spacestation going to Aviator Games, which is a site that was really only won off the back of the efforts of Bosco when it got down to that 2v1 situation and making some heroic plays with the SMG-11 and M590. But now into OT, they choose to go back to the same area. Do you think that they're going to try and make some adjustments here in order to make this a little bit more successful? We have the cardiac sensor of the pulse this time around, but with that, Canadian isn't on the northern side of the map. They're not in that trophy statuary area where you can play a lot deeper into the ground since you can play all the way in the basement. Here he's going to be in a lot more accessible area. He's going to be playing in that piano/living room area downstairs where he can be fragged out quite a bit more. But it seems that he actually has allocated himself over towards the basement, so I really don't know how much information he's going to get unless DarkZero tries to shift things towards a north to south take.
Another factor that could become a problem for Spacestation, I don't know this with absolute certainty yet, but it does look like obviously they've moved the Warden away from studies. They're not having that hold anymore, but it doesn't look like they've redoubled any kind of pressure over towards 90 just yet either. So that was the vulnerable portion of the map that really led to DarkZero getting access, and if that's going to be just as weak on this round, they could be looking at the same exact problem despite relocating their hold in the study, which now they don't have anymore. So really both areas can get pushed relatively easily right now.
Yeah, Fultz is actually inside of 90. He's on the short hallway towards the top of red stairs where Rampy is currently occupying. Canadian rotating himself back up red, identifying, hey, no one's taking over here almost halfway through the round, so I need to go somewhere else to make myself useful, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Some drones being set up inside of the long hallway, as well as a little bit of information game from study into sight. It's only Bosco and Thinking Nade, though. Thinking Nade has impacts as well as those electro claws to try and stop some things, but it's going to be a double EMP. Thinking Nade, he goes high, but he only gets a couple, which is going to make the wall cut a little weird, but more than likely DarkZero is not going to be trying to get through there. They just want lines of sight to make it easier to put a plant down.
More important.
Oh no!
Rampy, though, is going to be able to find Houghton, and that is a drop of the diffuser.
Well, rest of the team still outside, and only a minute remains here. No other pressure along the map, and this is where things get very rough on Villa. If you only have presence inside of study when down to this minute time, then Fultz can just hold down 90 and make it practically impossible to take over the site if everything on the site goes the proper way.
Fultz with a very drastic hole around the 90 angle as well, waiting to see if anybody is going to try to push into that. On the other side, he does have support.
It's going to be Hyper on main stairs. Impact grenade, I believe, goes off underneath. No, it's going to be Skystone, a frag grenade underneath as he rotates towards red stairs. Could be bumping into Canadian at any point in time. He should be reading them out from the lower side of the red stairs. Quick rotations here, and it's going to be all on Troy, and that's the beauty of the cardiac sensor, but he gets immediately shut down. Couldn't pick his target. Fast movement makes it to where the sound cue is so very loud. Rampy with 2. Another shot from Hyper as DarkZero is all hands on deck to try and take down this site. Only 10 seconds remaining, and this round could be the victory that DarkZero needs going into this defensive play. Bosco with a quick shot, but the SMG 11 can't do it, but the 12 can. Eclipse with the post plant here, trying to set things down. Bolts needs to shut him down. A pre-fire takes out one, but no, a quick shot, the plant goes down, but DarkZero! Oh my! What a round here in round 13. Skies lets him know, and I haven't seen that man excited on land in such a very long time.
It's Skies as well that picks up those 2 pivotal kills at the end of the round and seals the deal for his team. So once again, coming in clutch. More importantly, though, the thing we need to talk about here, Skies has usually been picking up the frags in the early round, not necessarily the late round. More recently, it's been Hyper just opening up opportunity after opportunity for DZ to carve their way into these sites and pick up round after round. He needs to truly be commended for that as well.
Yeah, Hyper, such an impressive player that we've always highlighted inside of North America, that he is one of the best fraggers, and you guys see exactly why. Yeah, he might have been quiet for the first series here, or so the series so far, but when the kid gets warmed up, he's insane, man. He is so good at this video game. But overall, I would say that especially that last little instance, those last 5 seconds of that round, really shook a lot of things up. It was very weird how things finally transpired. I thought that Fultz was going to get the kill onto the man planting, but it just became a trade game. And obviously, since DarkZero had numbers, they kind of win that.
And again, it's Hyper that does the work, working with that full push they had. All these players grouped together, a team effort, but Hyper finding most of the final blows and just pushing their way through, even if one of them went down, which that's the other key part of that push that worked so dang well for DarkZero, is that they didn't lose anyone that was in that stack. Everybody stayed alive. So by the time they get to the site with it, they've now got 3 guys ready to push in. They just picked up 2 or 3 kills in the process. So it's easy to take the site control at that point. And that has often been how DarkZero has won rounds, through a trade game, through the capability to just knock out players from SSG in the early round.
All I'm going to say is I really need to know what Eclipse has on that SMG-12, because I've never seen that thing be so accurate in my life. Like, obviously, pre-patch, it was an insane gun, but now its recoil pattern is literally like a weird Z with a circle. It literally just jumps everywhere. It's the RNG gun, and the man has just been slamming with it. It's been extremely impressive so far to watch.
So we are going to end up in the same site for DarkZero's attempt to win this on defense. Should it go south, they're going to have to do it on attack, though, and Spacestation will be given a second chance here if they tie it up at 7-7. But that means they're winning this round on attack as well. That has been the way that this game has been played, though. It's been incredibly attacker-sided. That is not out of the realm of possibility, but it has been a while, of course, since we've seen the players from SSG beyond that. So hopefully they're not going to be a little bit... Hopefully they're going to be warmed up.
10 seconds left before insertion.
A little bit of a flashback all the way to last year at this event, John, where we had SSG actually go to quarters, or excuse me, semis or conference finals, and it ended up losing to Rise Nation, if I remember correctly. That's a... No. I believe that is correct. No, I can't. Oh no, my Liquipedia brain is shutting down. I want to say that they ended up losing to Rise, if I remember correctly. But again, full year ago. But SSG was at the tournament last year with a very different roster. Only remaining member once again is going to be Thinking Nade. Bosco and everybody being added at a later date. Bosco, I believe, was there last year as well. It's just a lot of roster moves since this roster has came into the limelight. But right now, they need to make a stand. If they are able to bring it back and match it up to 7-7 and eventually win this map, that's going to be a 2-0 in their favor. A lot of people at home have DarkZeros as the favorites to win this entire tournament, beating out SSG and the rest of the pack.
Not a whole lot of direct confrontation starting between the two teams at the beginning of what could be the penultimate, well, what could be the final round, actually, of this match. Could be the penultimate round, too. Got Bosco. He's actually coming very close to hitting those sprays right there, but just been off the timing by a couple seconds each time. So no damage found. On to backing up a little bit. Does fully breach the window, so may have something get thrown at him here in a couple of seconds. That's why he's stuck around on the rappel waiting for it. And now the drone goes in. He'll start to explore towards 90. Fultz will go for a quick leap just in case there was anyone waiting at the edge of his connector. All those drones are going to be dealt with relatively quickly, as you might expect, but that's not stopping SSG. They've got, again, a lot of intel. That's what's been dangerous for them, is they've been doing a lot of droning work, and it's usually been really successful. So when they execute, more than likely, they're executing with full intel.
Quick check of the Wikipedias for you guys. Spacestation beat Rise Nation in the quarters last year and then lost to Rogue, who eventually won the whole thing up against Evil Geniuses. If you guys want to collectively use your brains with me, you'll remember that Gotcha played for Evil Geniuses back then because they couldn't get a visa for one of their players on Evil Geniuses. So overall, a fun tournament, and we're hoping that this one turns out the same, but we got to figure out who's going to win between these two teams right now. 58 seconds remain, as we do still have Eclipse at the top of main stairs. Canadian trying to make some lines of sight. Smoke goes down, but a pre-fire coming through the smoke now. An impact over, as he said, just a little bit too high.
45 seconds remaining. Still no real progress being made just yet for SSG in trying to breach their way into this site. They're going to have to do it now. Otherwise, they'll risk leaving themselves with not enough time to clear out. DZ, in the meanwhile, just sitting back and letting that time run down. They have no issue doing that. They still have such powerful positioning on the inside of this stairwell. You can see SSG trying to contest it, but they just don't have a real way to get in. That's going to change now. A 2-for-1 exchange into their favor gives them a man advantage. Now an additional one. 4v2 is the way this will fall down. 2 players left on the inside of the sites. Bosco is going to be able to take out one of them as he gets a double kill in the round. Now everything falls to Mint. Waiting for the rotate to come in. He's going to be able to get one, yes, but there's a lot more players waiting just around the corner. Trying to find number 2 right now. Hasn't been able to locate it just yet. Diffuser on the ground. Mint trying to push back out and locate it. We'll bring out his eye tracker as well and see where exactly he's looking, if you're wondering what that bubble is. As he wraps around the corner, though, he misses the player in the plant position. Spacestation preserve and maintain themselves to push this to one final round on the second map.
You thought it was going DarkZero's way until the very end. They got the initial frags, they shut down the overall take from Study, but then something happens all the way in the rear of the site. They have control of 90, they have control of Red Stairs, and they start picking off everyone that's trying to rotate through the site on DarkZero and get plenty of presence in order to get a diffuser down. Get a diffuser down in behind the vault door, which is one of the defaults for that site, and all of a sudden, you have yourself a death match. The TCSG does not prove to avail overall, and all of a sudden, we're at overtime match point. If SSG comes away with the victory, it's a 2-0. If DarkZero does, we're moving to Consulate.
Let's find out which it will be as we're heading into it now, and we are going to be returning to Trophy.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they
First times that we'll actually see this site played, I think only the second or third time overall in the game that will end up on it. And once again, it'll be SSG's pick that takes us to that site. So let's see what exactly DZ have to try and win this. It's been an amazing game from players like Skies, Hyper as well, despite him being at the bottom of the scoreboard. And you've even got Eclipse. Some of the other guys stepping up to the plate as well when it comes to that scoreboard that you just saw before you a few seconds ago.
Back to the panel view for you guys, so you guys can see how things are being set up, what everyone's doing. So once again, production for setting all of this stuff up. I really like this since we've had this at LANs where we can see what everyone is doing, and if you want to particularly see how SSG uses, for instance, Maestro, you can see where he puts those cameras at, where he's going to be playing, what have you. Just a very nice setup for everybody at home. So once again, thank you guys for that. As we finally get into the round, though, we're going to have Canadian back on the pulse. Can the big bad Canadian come back and finally seal the deal for SSG? So far has actually been pretty equal across SSG for the most part. We've seen a lot of showing from Bosco, a little bit of sparks of success from Thinking Nade, as well as Rampy. So a mixture of that entire concoction, especially with DarkZero and how they've been battling on offense. This is definitely going to be a round for the making.
As you might have expected, DarkZero still with a lot of intel work to do in this early round, so exploring is still the name of the game for them. But they've led Hyper in to push on his own game. 2 trades, however, going to happen. Mint will end up getting Canadian from the grave after we see him get eliminated on a push. Also important to note, Hot and Cold taking a massive amount of damage, just a sliver of HP remaining.
Yeah, as well as Mint being on Thatcher. And for this site, extremely important, but as you guys can notate from the operator lineup for SSG, not that important because they don't have very much to get rid of. Obviously, you can use the EMPs in order to disable cameras, as well as possibly break some smoke grenades if you time them right, as well as those ADSs, but for the most part, it's used to try and unelectrify walls. And since they don't have any of that, it's going to be pretty successful. Oh, Skies gets shot through the floor. The first skeleton goes off, a random shotgun shot will come through for Fultz. Does quite a bit of damage. Hyper rotates out through the garage. Still plenty of time on the board as well. Eclipse is going to pick up some cameras. So now the dead Canadian can coordinate his entire team through the utility of the, DarkZero and Mint can coordinate their entire team through the utility of the defense camera-wise. So now Rampy is all of a sudden a detriment to his defense.
Yeah, Rampy was actually creeping around a second ago. Was an actually nice opportunity to try and find him. Or excuse me, find Skies, I should say, from the Valkyrie's point of view, but was not able to catch that. Just ended up going in to take out a drone, I believe. Houghton, though, despite the low HP, is going to be able to knock out Fultz over by Astronomy or on the inside. Trophy for the rest of the team. It's going to be a lot more sitting back and trying to wait this out here. Thinking Nate specifically, you can hear that phone ringing, but he cannot answer it right now. Just going to let the timer run out on him as he knows there's someone right around the corner ready to take the fight. DarkZero have a man advantage, but they need someone who can actually take the fight due to the low HP. It's Hyper once again that steps up to the plate for his team. Rampy's there a second later to trade it as he takes out Houghton. So Hyper still in play right now, and they need him to. Eclipse, however, this time moves in to be able to find the next pickup for Rampy. We're down to only Bosco. What a find, though! 8 seconds left now to try and plan it as he interrupts Hyper in the middle of it. Some damage being taken. They're going to try and pinch him out. There's an open wall here now. He's dropped one of them. The plant's going down, and they are sticking it. He's trying to spam into it, but no, that's a dead player. Finds the finisher on the kill instead. Diffuser goes down, and we are into the 1v1. Bosco looks to shut this down here. As the Rap is going to come in, he's going to try to encircle his opponent, but at the same time, he also moves out onto the top of Red Stairs, trying to spam in, trying to get something that'll bring him out into the open. Right now, Space Station are not being given that utility. There's the tap. Do we see a push on DZ? Yes, we do, but he misreads it, and SSG get the clutch. Now, do they have enough time for that defuse? They've got plenty. Bosco clutches it for Space Station Gaming, and they take a 2-0 win in overtime at 8-7 here in the Eastern Conference semifinal.
There is no way in hell that you're going to let Bosco do that to you. What an impressive showing from him. He baits Eclipse in. The man had been playing so well throughout this entire series that SMG 12 finally sells him out on the last round.
And so Space Station Gaming secure victory over their opponents. Bosco ending at 19-9 on the matchup. Thinking Nate at 13-11. Fultz at 12-12. And it continues to move from there. Amazing performances from the team. A bit of a slip up there on their defensive side, to be fair, but they rebound in overtime in a very big way with some big clutches coming in from Bosco throughout the course of it.
And that's one thing that you have to love about Rainbow Six Siege. At the end of the day, it's all love. You can talk all that trash on the field, but when it comes down to it, it's still fist bumps and love. And overall, SSG, guys, they're looking really good right now. This is probably the best SSG that I've ever seen. But you guys have heard enough from us. Let's go talk to Jackie.
What a map 2. That was a huge victory. My heart is racing. I can only imagine how you feel. I mean, a lot of people thought DZ was going to go all the way. So what's going through your head right now?
I mean, we came into the match knowing we're the real dream team in NA. They might throw 5-star players together, but we got the real lineup. We have all the pieces to the puzzle.
Yeah, actually, I want to ask you about that. You're adjusting to a new role, trying to establish chemistry here. What are you doing to do that?
I mean, I just came into the team. I had to adapt to a new play style that I wasn't really used to, but it was one that I believed in, that SSG ran. And at first, it kind of was rocky. I was on entry roles, which I probably shouldn't have been on this lineup. My teammates are so crazy that, like, I should definitely be on support. So I had to adjust that new role, but it's honestly really easy. Like, I just call out the bad guys, and my 4 teammates shoot them all. So, yeah.
I'm sure you did a lot of prep. Were you surprised when you played on DZ's weakest maps? What was your reaction to that? And did you guys change your strat, or did you expect it?
Yeah, I mean, we knew that we were going to play one of their weakest maps, either Coast or Villa. We didn't think they would pick Coast and give us both, but I don't know, they picked it, I guess, so.
When they picked that, were you like, okay, we gotta do this, or you're like, all right, we're gonna roll with this?
I mean, yeah, we had a game plan for every map coming in. We knew what we wanted to do, so just kind of focused on our game. We didn't overthink things. We usually do that. Like, I'm aware of how teams play usually. I don't try to psych the other teammates out. I just kind of keep it in my mind, and my teammates just kind of listen to my calls round around, and works out well.
So just great prep then. There you go, guys. Okay, so you've had some vocal haters calling you out. What do you got to say to them after this?
I mean, there's not much to say. I'm just going to keep my head down, keep working, and I don't know, prove them wrong. There's nothing to say, though. I've kind of had it the whole way through Siege. I have a ton of supporters, and with that comes a ton of haters, so it's bound to happen, and it is what it is.
Let your play speak for itself, right? Thank you so much. Canadian, ladies and gentlemen.